In this last semester, I had a college professor tell my class that in reality, a lot of our degrees weren't going to matter on their own, that we would need to take bar exams or pass our CPA license or something else of that nature to be valuable to an employer. This really stuck out to me. Why wasn't the degree that I was working so hard on and taking so much time out of my life for going to be valuable for an employer? Why was a standardized exam more reliable than years of college coursework? In my research, I found that according to bestcolleges.com, over the last 30 years, the average college GPA has risen by 17%. This raises the concern of if grades are actually reflecting what students know. This trend is called grade inflation. I'm going to talk about what grade inflation is, why it's caused, what effects it has on students in the classroom, and the consequences that follow students outside of the classroom after graduation. So, what is grade inflation? According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, grade inflation is the increase of average grades awarded to a student over time. This is often accompanied by the lack of learning or academic achievement in comparison to these rising grades. So why does it happen? Researchers can't pinpoint one exact reason. A research article that I read published by the U.S. Department of Education called Addressing the Grade Inflation Collective Action Problem outlines that both educators and students are contributing to the issue. On the educator side, there is a pressure from students who want higher grades in the class and institutions who expect student success to be translated into high grades. I've never gone into a class and not had a teacher in some way, shape, or form tell a story about the last week of class and finals where a student comes in asking for extra credit to boost their grade, and there's nothing they could have done because they should have been participating during the year. Those same professors often turn around and encourage their students to do course evaluations or rate my professor or something of that nature by encouraging them with a few extra credit points. Although these extra credit points altogether aren't the exact reason for grade inflation, it is an example that I have experienced that shows how little pressures and different parts of grading can influence a student's overall grade. From the student side, we often are encouraged to choose easy A classes, or as students, we want to take less rigorous classes in order to have an easy A or boost our GPA. At NMSU, we have this class called the Bug class, and it is an easy A class. If you need an easy elective to take or you just need something to boost your GPA, a lot of people will recommend this Bug class because that's exactly what it does. It's not valuable to your degree or it's not really knowledge you want to know, but it's easy and it'll boost your grade with an A. From there, I want to start explaining what grade inflation causes and the effects that it has in the classroom. So when we see an A or we get a 90% on something, we assume that we've mastered that content to 90% at least. Grade inflation, however, causes this disconnect between the grade we receive and what we actually know. An academic journal titled Grade Inflation Causes, Consequences, and Cure outlines what this is exactly. It's the disconnect between the knowledge and what the grade is representing. These knowledge gaps are masked throughout this grade and cause problems going forward. I personally experienced this when I took Calculus 2. I got an A in the class, and then going into Calculus 3, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. I had gaps in my knowledge where I thought I had mastered the material because the grade I received was an A, but what I really had gotten was a inflated grade and a bunch of gaps in my knowledge. Reflecting on this shows me that grade inflation is a big problem when I think about how I'm going to go forward and study, because I think I know something and then I don't. From there, Abesco Research Starters also explains that grade inflation causes students to have motivation issues, to have a declining work ethic, to not have good study plans. When I don't realize that there's a gap in my knowledge, I don't want to fix it because I don't know that I need to study more or I need to have more motivation. I think of online classes where I'm not really motivated to work even though I'm expected to put in 9 or more hours of work, but I'm still getting an A out of the class when I'm putting only 3 hours in. These courses are either becoming easier or the grading is becoming less rigorous, and that's impacting what I as a student am learning and what my grade is showing me, becoming a less valuable indicator of the knowledge I'm learning. From there, let's look at the consequences that grade inflation has as it follows us after graduation. A report titled Easy A, Lower Pay outlines that students who experience grade inflation often may earn less than over their lifetime because their inflated grades may hide important gaps in knowledge or hide those skills and make it harder for them to grow a worth ethic, as we just explained. This motivation and time management and these gaps in knowledge cost your employer, and it's not as profitable for them to hire someone who has experienced grade inflation, because as a student who has these knowledge gaps, it takes more time for me to learn while I'm working with my employer rather than coming in and knowing what I already need to know. The Texas Public Policy Foundation also argues that as grades and GPAs become less meaningful, our employers and our graduate schools are putting less importance on looking at those and more importance at looking at internships and qualifications such as certificates and experience. And this as a whole makes the grade inflation seem like our college experience don't matter as much. This brings me back to what my professor said at the beginning of my speech. Whether or not grade inflation is the only reason employees are valuing professional certifications more, his comment makes so much more sense to me. I still plan to earn my CPA license because it provides me with another way to demonstrate that I truly have the knowledge and the skills that are needed in my profession, alongside with my college degree, making it more credible. My professor's comment left me wondering whether my degree would be enough. After researching what grade inflation is, I realized the bigger question simply isn't whether these grades are getting higher, it's whether that they're still representing the knowledge and the skills that are meant to be measured. As grade inflation becomes a common issue, grades and GPAs become less reliable indicators of how a student is learning or doing in class. We need to put less emphasis on looking at the grades and more emphasis of looking at the knowledge.